Hello, hello. Success Coach Amy here with another flaming hot topic from Blaze, building a life with action, zen, and energy. Today we are talking about solutions. And here's a phrase that my mother sort of came up with and I revamped and now I'm using it. So the phrase is solution to a resolution. So I know a lot of people who just like to argue. I have to be right. I have to have the last word. And it's really frustrating because it's hard to communicate and have an actual conversation to try to get a solution to the issue if everyone is just yelling and talking and no one's listening. So we have to figure out how to find a solution so we can resolve the situation that we're dealing with. Whether it's about kids, about money, your job, education, your work environment, it doesn't matter. You have to learn how to talk so that other people will not just hear you, but will listen to you. So hearing and listening are two completely different things. And a lot of people use them interchangeably, which is common for any human, basically. But hearing is really just the noise. I hear your voice, I hear the words, but if you're not listening, you're not comprehending, you're not understanding what the person is really trying to say. And even if you are listening and you're really trying, you don't always understand what they're trying to say just because, again, we're human. We don't always understand what someone else has going on in their brains, even when they're trying to talk about it and explain it. So how do you come up with a resolution that will stop or at least lessen the arguments and the disagreements and the disconnect that you have with these other people in your life? Again, whether it's your children, your significant other, friends, coworkers, professors, it doesn't matter. Again, this is just for human beings. So I'm going to talk about canines too, probably at some point, 'cause that's another issue. So how do you find your solution? Well, some people these days in 2022, when we're all dealing with mindfulness and different kinds of meditation and different kinds of thought processes, they might sit down and actually write out something. Okay, we keep having the same conversation about this. I feel this way. Put all your thoughts down. And other people might say, are you kidding? I don't write stuff down. That's not who I am. That's not how I work. And that's fine. But again, if you're really trying hard to find a solution, you have to try different things. You have to try new ways to do things. Whether, again, it's talking things out, having an intervention. That's extreme to a lot of people. But to others, it might just be what you need, which is really just getting a few really key people into the conversation and being like, my significant other, my boss, my children, whoever is not listening to me, they're not understanding. I need someone else in the room, in the conversation to help me. Maybe I'm not using the right words that they're understanding because they're not understanding me. So sometimes that's what an intervention can be. Again, most people think of an intervention with alcohol and substance abuse, something that's just a really bad habit that's extreme. And that's totally true. But you can use an intervention for less stressful situations. And this could be one of them. And an intervention could actually just be going to see a counselor, going to see a therapist. Sometimes you need that when, especially, you hear about marriage counseling all the time, but it could just be even friends that really don't want to ruin a friendship that they've had for so long. But again, the communication is just not there anymore. Or maybe it never was, and you just never knew how to deal with it. Again, what's the solution? You have to think about what you want to do and what you want to get out of it. And then what about the other person or persons that are in the situation with you? How do you handle that? It's really hard with children because most people would say, well, they're the child, they're supposed to listen to you. Yeah, that's what they're supposed to do. But again, in 2022, still coming out of this pandemic and dealing with technology and all the changes and the craziness that's been going on in the world over the last couple of years, your kids are different. And I have gotten to that stage in my life. I've been in that stage in my life where I said, well, when I was a kid, we didn't have computers and we didn't have this and that. Kids don't listen to that. They don't care. They just don't care. What they know is right now. And that's not helping. So that's not a solution, saying to your children, well, I didn't have that when I was a kid, so you should be lucky. That's a statement. That's your opinion. That's your feelings. That's your thought. That's not a solution. For example, a solution could be that you have time limits. And again, with teenagers, it's going to be much more difficult. But with littler kids, you can try this. Even significant others. Oh my gosh, you're on your phone all the time. Okay, well, you know what? Then let's say, as a solution, this could be a time frame for us as well. So nobody's using technology, electronics, whatever you want to call it, from 5 to 7 at night. It's dinner time. It's coming home from work for most people. I know now it's the end of June, so kids are out of school, but whether your kids are in school or not, or they go to summer camp or not, it doesn't matter. When everyone's finally home, you have those 2 hours where people actually communicate. They talk to each other. It's kind of a joke that, yeah, I was raised in the 70s and 80s, and we did talk about our day around the kitchen table, around the dinner table. We actually had conversations. You try to do that now, especially if you have teenagers. How was your day? Fine. Did you do anything fun? Nope. Talk to your friends? Yeah. Did you make plans for the weekend? Maybe. First of all, those are open-ended questions or closed questions. We want open-ended questions. How did that go today? It's going to still give you the answer, fine, okay, whatever. So how can you rephrase that so you can actually get a conversation more than a couple of words? And believe me, this is really difficult. I have 3 teenagers in my house right now, and my 22-year-old still does the same thing. Oh, what'd you do today at work? Oh, nothing much. Did you talk to those friends that you haven't seen in a couple months? No. Okay, good talk. Catch you later. It's ridiculous. So how do you solve that? What's your solution to communicating and getting people to open up more and just have a conversation? You need to really think about it. And again, it's not something that we grow up saying, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write out some open-ended questions, and I'm going to have them in a little cheat sheet in my hand, or don't use your phone, technology, but have a little cheat sheet. And so when I go to that event, when I go to that party, when I go see those friends or those family members, I'm going to know what open-ended questions to ask. If you want to do that, fabulous. Write those questions down. Write those topics down. What topics do you want to talk about? It might work. Plan B would be to think in the opposite direction, is even if I pose these questions to these people I'm going to see, what if they don't want to join that conversation? What if they're like, yeah, I'm just not going to answer. Just don't feel like it, or I don't want to talk to you. And that could be, again, your little children, your teenagers. It could be work friends, coworkers. It could be anyone. You kind of have to have a plan B and even a plan C in the back of your head all the time. And here's the biggest thing. You're never going to solve every situation. I don't feel that it's humanly possible. And that's okay. That's okay. That's how we keep learning. We learn from what happened. So most people know, especially adults would know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So think about it. If you keep talking to your teenagers the same way, day after day, month after month, year after year, Some people would say, how'd you not get that by now? How do you not understand by now? But if they're receiving it a certain way that's not helpful, it's not going to change. And a lot of people parent that way. Well, it worked when I was a kid. I got yelled at, smacked, spanked, timeouts, whatever you want to call it. And how did you react when you were punished and talked down to and, oh, I felt like crap, but look at me now. I don't know, should we? That's not a solution. And a lot of people, again, will say, oh, that's just ridiculous. Kids should just do what we say. We should just do what our bosses say. No, have a conversation. If something is not working, even though it's the way your business, your job, your company has been running for years, doesn't mean it can't change. Doesn't mean you can't try something new. Again, everybody was raised differently, so when you're all coming together, you're all going to have different thoughts and opinions and feelings. And again, that's human nature. This is what happens, especially now. People have a lot of different thoughts and feelings during and after this pandemic. Again, technically, we're still in the pandemic, but for the most part, nobody's wearing masks anymore. Rarely do you see people wearing masks. Most people are vaccinated, and you're going to have some that just will never be. So we have to think differently now about how we go to the store, how we do our work, how we work with our students and our clients and coworkers and everything. You need to think differently about how you come up with a solution and how you verbalize the solution, how you physically enact the solution to get to that resolution. And it's a work in progress. Everyone on the planet's a work in progress. You have to keep changing with the times. The only constant in life is change. Things change all the time, every day. Do not compare children. Do not compare your canine children. You just can't do that. It happens. I do it all the time. I totally admit it. But you really need to stop and think about that. You cannot treat everybody the same. Respect, common decency, of course. But in general, you can't treat everyone exactly the same because everybody's different. So in every situation, your children, your coworkers, your significant others, your friends, your other family members, you have to come up with different solutions. And again, that could be one conversation and, oh, well, okay, I didn't even know that. Thanks for telling me. Done. And others, it'll take months or even years. And even by that time, you may change your mind again as to how you're thinking and feeling. So think about how you want to create solutions in your life. Write them down, talk them out, and then see how you can resolve the issue. Think about it. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'm wishing you health, wealth, happiness, and freedom.